Hi, and welcome back to Authentically ADHD. I am your host, Carmen. I'm a late diagnosed ADHDer, an early childhood special educator, and a certified life and performance coach. I created this podcast to help as many ADHDers as I could to learn about your specific ADHD. I know that when I was late diagnosed, I was sent out the door with meds and no help. We have to do a lot of this work on our own, but if we join together in community, we can live more authentically and with more joy in our lives. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, and welcome back to Authentically ADHD, the podcast where we dive deep into the realities of living with ADHD, the science, the struggles, and the strengths. I'm your host, Carmen, and today we're tackling that topic that I know so many of us wrestle with. That pesky word consistency versus persistence, and why one of these works way better for our ADHD brains than the other. I want you to take a second and think about these two words, consistency and persistence. Which one makes you feel empowered? Which one makes you feel exhausted just thinking about it? For most of us with ADHD, notice how I did not say all. For most of us with ADHD, consistency feels like this impossible perfectionistic standard that we just can't live up to. We're told that success comes from doing the same thing the same way over and over and over again, but our brains just really don't work that way. And that's okay. That last part is key. That's okay. It's okay that our brains are different. So today, we're breaking it all down. We're going to explore the perception of these words and why consistency feels unattainable for ADHDers, the science behind why our brains struggle with consistency but thrive with persistence, why persistence is actually the ADHD-friendly approach to long-term success, and, of course, some practical strategies to help you build some persistence without the pressure. So, if you've ever felt frustrated that you can't stay consistent with habits, work, or goals, this episode is for you. Are you ready? Let's get started. So, the expectation of consistency, we're going to start there. This word is thrown around all the time, and it really bothers me because the key to success is consistency. If you're not consistent, you're not disciplined. Success comes from showing up every single day. If you're not consistent, you're not trying hard enough. How does that make you feel? If you have ADHD, hearing that feels like being asked to run a marathon with no training, no shoes, and no idea where the finish line is. So, in turn, no idea where to start. Because consistency is built on predictability, and ADHD is the opposite of predictable. We don't like predictability necessarily. Our brains thrive on predictability and routine, but they need to be more flexible. Let's look at the science. A study published in the JMA Psychiatry 2020 found that ADHD brains have differences in dopamine transport, making motivation and sustained effort highly variable. This means that our ability to start, stay engaged, and follow through isn't a matter of willpower. it's actually a matter of brain chemistry, because our dopamine is not transported correctly. Sometimes our receptors can't even absorb it because the release goes so fast that it doesn't have a chance to. That's as simple as I can make that science-y kind of brain chemistry, but that's what I want you to understand. It's not a matter of willpower. It's not a character flaw. It's brain chemistry. Consistency assumes that we can produce the same level of focus, energy, and discipline every single day. But with ADHD and just humanness, we experience motivation fluctuations that make one day feel effortless, but the next day feel impossible. I swear, this is something that I argue to a lot of people. I have a week and a half to 2 weeks of what may feel quote unquote effortless. It's not effortless, but it's a little bit easier. And then I have a follow-up week and a half of just no motivation. My motivation fluctuations are insane. That's not everybody. Some people with ADHD, they experience minor fluctuations. I also feel them throughout the day very intensely. Some people feel them, a little bit. Some people don't experience motivation fluctuations at all. But we do experience them, and that can affect how we produce things, how we are able to follow through. So what happens next? We set goals with the expectations of being consistent, and then we inevitably struggle. We feel like we've failed. We blame ourselves and we beat ourselves up, and we fall into this cycle. 1, getting super excited about something new. 2, doing it really well for a little bit. 3, losing motivation or totally forgetting about it. 4, feeling guilty for not being consistent. 5, beating ourselves up and avoiding it altogether. In turn, failing. That's what we say. Sound familiar? Here's the truth. You are not failing. The system is failing you. We don't need consistency. We need a new way of looking at success. A reframe, if you will. So, let's redefine success through persistence. So let's shift gears into persistence, a word that actually does work for our ADHD brains instead of against them. Because here, persistence means that you keep going even if you stop and then start again. It means that you work with your natural ebb and flow of energy. It means that you allow for inconsistency and you don't let it stop you. Here's the key difference. Consistency is more about implying that we're doing things perfectly every time, every day, staying on track and never giving up. Persistence is about coming back. No matter how many times you fall down or get off track, you get back up again and you get back on track. And guess what? The best part about this is science backs it up too. A study in psychological science in 2018 found that people with ADHD perform better when they focus on effort over outcomes. The ability to return to a task even after a gap of time leads to long-term success. In other words, success is not about how often you do something, but it's about your ability to return to it. So, for me, that looks like not doing consistent taking of specific data in my classroom, except for IEP data, that's legal, needs to be done every day. But I do it in chunks. I use my hyper-focus to my advantage, and on those weeks where I feel things are easier, I do things in big chunks. And then I use the other 2 weeks to kind of recoup and plan and prepare. So imagine 2 different people who are trying to build a healthy habit like journaling. So person A has a consistency mindset, right? And person B has a persistence mindset. Person A with the consistency mindset tries to journal every single day. But when they miss a day, they feel like they've failed and they give up entirely. Person B, with the persistence mindset, journals when they remember to, and if they forget for a week or a few days, they just really pick it back up when they can. Over time, person B will actually stick to journaling longer, even though they weren't consistent by traditional standards. That's all science-backed. That is an example coming straight from that study that says that people with ADHD perform better when we focus on effort over outcomes. Focus on that you can do it and pick it up even when we're not consistent. This ADHD-friendly approach, instead of focusing on never missing a day, focus on never quitting for good. Some real-life examples of persistence over consistency. Example 1, exercise. One we all struggle with, I'm sure. Instead of saying, I will work out every day at 7 a.m. for 1 hour, try, I will keep coming back to moving my body or movement in a way that works for me or in a way that works for my brain. Maybe one week you work out 3 times and the next week only once, but you persist, you return, and eventually you can find yourself working out every day that you plan to, pretty much. Ask me how I know. Example number 2, work and productivity. Instead of expecting yourself to have the same productivity level daily, focus on getting back on track when you get off track, okay? Believe me, setting yourself up thinking that you're going to be able to hyper-focus every day just leads to burnout. Again, ask me how I know. One day might be super hyper-focused, and then the next day might be a mess, but overall, you're still moving forward. Example 3, relationships. ADHD can make communication inconsistent, but instead of feeling bad for not texting back immediately, persistence means repairing and reconnecting when you do remember, okay? So connect all of that together and make it so that your partner understands and help them approach it with curiosity instead of criticism, and approach yourself that way. Approach yourself with curiosity instead of criticism, and I promise you, it will go a long way. Here up next, we're going to go into how to build persistence without pressure. First, let's hear a word from our sponsors. Hey there. If you're looking for a game changer in managing your ADHD, let me tell you about something that's made a huge impact on my life. Focused, the adult ADHD group coaching program by Kristen Carter. This isn't just another program. It's a community. It's a roadmap. It's a lifeline for adults with ADHD who want to thrive. Inside of Focus, you'll find weekly coaching calls with Kristen packed with actionable insights, a supportive community of adults who get it. They get what it's like to live with ADHD. You'll get tools and strategies that actually work for our brains. No fluff, just real results. I've been a part of Focused for over a year, and let me tell you, it's where I've learned so much of what I share with you on Authentically ADHD. It's been a game changer for me, and I think it could be for you too. And here's the best part. If you use my link to join, we both save money. It's a win-win. So if you've been looking for the right ADHD support, this is your sign to check it out. Head to the link in my show notes to learn more and sign up. Let's thrive together with tools and support that we need to succeed. Are you also loving what we're doing on Authentically ADHD but want to take your experience to the next level? Well, I have got something for you. Introducing the Authentically ADHD Patreon, your VIP pass to the ultimate ADHD support hub. As a Patreon member, you'll unlock exclusive perks like early access to every single episode, hear it before anyone else does, a treasure trove of resources that I've made, tools, guides, and worksheets to help you thrive in everyday aspects of life, direct coaching opportunities with me designed to help you harness your ADHD powers, and the cherry on top, an incredible community of like-minded individuals who just get it. you're not alone on this journey, and together we can be unstoppable. By joining Patreon, you're not just supporting the podcast, you're fueling a movement. Together, we're breaking stigmas, embracing authenticity, and creating a world where ADHD is seen as a strength and not just a struggle. So what are you waiting for? Head over to patreon.com/AuthenticallyADHD and join the family today. Let's keep growing, thriving, and showing up authentically together. Hope to see you over there. Back to the show. Hi, and while we are welcoming you back to the show, I just want to remind you that our working memories suck. So don't forget to subscribe or follow this podcast if you like it. Maybe while you're up there, just, hit me a rating, leave a comment or a review. It really helps push us out there. All right, now, let's get back into how we're going to build persistence without pressure. Now that we know that persistence is the key, how do we actually build it into our lives without feeling like we're constantly behind? Here are 6 ADHD-friendly strategies that can help you stick with things over time without burnout or self-judgment. Now, I want to preface this. Take the ones that work for you, throw away the rest. Take them, use them, then reevaluate, adjust, and use again. Use it as data. The things in this podcast, I do not consent to you using against yourself, okay? All right, let's get into the tips. Number 1, use micro wins. Small steps for big success. ADHD brains thrive on those quick dopamine hits. The feeling of accomplishment keeps us engaged. Instead of setting huge, intimidating goals, shrink them down. So instead of saying, I have to write a podcast, say, I will write a segment of a podcast. Small wins make it easier to re-engage after breaks and over time, and they add up to bigger success, especially if you get on a roll. Sometimes getting on a roll and into hyperfocus can actually benefit us. So saying things like, I can do this for 5 minutes will help you start, and then sometimes you don't even need those small wins to engage and keep going. You just keep going, and then that gives you motivation to do the next task, which is even cooler. Number 2, rely on external structures. Because our memory is very unreliable. To be frank, it sucks. Our brains struggle to work with memory. This means we forget to follow through, not because we don't care, but because it literally disappears from our mental radar. It's like trying to put a sticky note up to remember something, but our sticky notes have no stick. They don't stick. They fall down. So use tools that will bring your focus back, like alarms and timers and visual cues. Like, I have a timer in front of me that's letting me know how long I have been recording for, so I know how long the episode is about, how long it is. I use reminders that take up my entire phone screen and stop any audio that's coming through, because 9 times out of 10, I'm usually listening to something in my ears. And then I use things like, I don't swipe that thing away until I do that thing. That's an internal boundary that took me time to build over time with accountability. Like accountability partners, like texting a friend or using an ADHD coach or peer really helps. Using habit trackers and being able to check off things as you do them, those are dopamine hits that our brain loves. And using body doubling, like working alongside someone else, even if it's just virtually, it really works. Did you ever notice in school you might have worked because other people around you were working, or in a coffee shop or a library? It was easier to focus and work because everyone around you was doing the same thing. our ADHD brains like to do that. They like to kind of, you ever picked up an accent from another state? I live in the Chicagoland area. I don't know if you could tell by my quote-unquote accent, but when I go down south, I get a southern accent because we assimilate with our environment. So body doubling is actually scientifically backed. These structures reduce mental effort, so persistence doesn't rely on willpower alone. So, number 3, normalize pausing. Stopping doesn't mean failing. Taking breaks, getting distracted, or shifting focus does not mean you failed. Just because I have things behind me that I was organizing and I stopped organizing those things to move on to doing this task, recording the podcast, does not mean that I failed anything. It means that I stopped one thing and started another, which I'm going to finish, and then I'm going to start the other thing after a break and finish that. That's what persistence is all about. Instead of thinking, I just missed a week of journaling, I failed, I can't do this, say, I'll pick it back up again today or tomorrow. Research literally shows that self-compassion improves motivation and makes us more likely to try again after the setbacks, okay? So, number 4, we're going to focus on the comeback rate instead of the perfect little streak. Our brains don't work well with streaks, okay? We miss streaks a lot. And a lot of times, it's because of one little slip up. You ever had a Fitbit watch and one little bubble didn't get filled in, so it didn't fill in the whole circle, and that really bothered you? Yeah. ADHD brains work better when we have forgiveness and flexibility. So being able to add a little exercise in there, knowing that you did take steps that hour, your phone or your watch was just charging or whatever, that helps us. So instead of judging your success on how consistent you are, measure success by how quickly you return after a break. So, and another example is if you skip the gyms for 2 weeks, don't say I failed. Instead, say I'm going to get back at it today. The goal is never perfection. It's progress. Perfection is actually toxic. We don't want that. We want progress. We want consistent wins, okay? Number 5, make tasks more playful and engaging. ADHD brains are interest-driven, meaning we're more likely to persist when something is fun, challenging, or rewarding. So, some ways to make tasks easier to return to are gamifying habits, rewarding yourself, using habit streaks, or racing. I love racing the timer or racing the podcast. Another one is changing locations. Work in a different space, outside, upstairs, at the library. It's novelty, and our brain likes that. Create challenges. Set a timer. How much can I get done in 10 minutes? Or set a timer for however long you have and do how much can I get done in this amount of time. The more you enjoy something, the easier it is to return to it. The basic thing I always go back to is put your favorite playlist on. Number 6, use bookend routines to restart with less effort. One of the hardest parts of persistence is restarting after a really long gap. A strategy to make this easier is bookend routines, a simple, repeatable way to ease back into a task. So here's an example. If you're restarting exercise after you've taken a break, begin with your warm-up routine. If you get back into reading, start with a book you love that you've already read. If you're picking up journaling again, use the same prompt to start. Today I'm thinking about. Familiar bookends create mental shortcuts, making it way easier for our brains to jump back in. Remember, persistence is not about doing the same thing every single day. It's about coming back, no matter how many times you pause or fall or fail. If you use micro wins, external reminders, and self-compassion, you will find that sticking with things feels way more natural. And if you focus on restarting instead of toxic perfectionism, you'll stop beating yourself up for being inconsistent. Instead of saying, I have to be consistent, try saying, I will keep coming back. I can be a person who is persistent. That's true persistence, and that is what makes true success sustainable for an ADHD brain. So here's the big takeaway. Consistency is overrated. Persistence is ADHD friendly. If you keep coming back, if you refuse to let stops be permanent, you will succeed. So instead of saying, I need to be consistent, try saying, I will keep coming back. That's all I have for today, my friends. If this episode resonated with you, let me know. Leave a review, leave a comment, share this with a friend or on your social media. Don't forget to tag me at Authentically ADHD_podcast or comment on a post on social media. And remember, you're not broken. You're just wired differently. And that is perfectly okay. You're amazing just the way you are. Until next time, stay persistent, stay authentic, and we will talk soon.